Alright guys, so this is what you need to replace front brake pads on 2011 and up Cadillac CTS-v. So first, you want to make sure that you support the car properly. So I'm using just jack stands over here on the frame. By the way, my apologies in advance if you see some moisture going on. That's probably sweat from my face. It is 100 degrees outside, so it's ridiculously hot in the garage, but anything for you guys, anything for you. So tools that you're gonna need: well, first of all, you're gonna need some brake pads. Got them right here. Then you're gonna need to have a 22mm socket to remove the wheels. I'm using my DeWalt impact gun, by the way, love it. Can take pretty much anything off. It has 400 pounds of torque, so more than some air guns. I don't have a brake caliper tool, so I'm just using a set of those bad boys. Then you're also gonna need a small hammer or a mallet, punch, and you're also gonna need to use 13mm socket. And if you're using air gun, I definitely suggest torque bar, 100-pound torque bar, so you don't over tighten your lug nuts. And now let's remove this bad boy. That one's pretty tight. That was stiff, huh? That's what she said. Somebody over tightened them before. It wasn't me. Probably was the tire shop. New tires put on it. So now take a punch and see those pins over here? You gotta knock them out, but be very careful. Once you knock the top one out, the metal bracket can come flying at you, so just be careful. So this is the careful part. Alright, I like to put some pressure on it so it doesn't jump at me. So that's what it looks like. Pretty much same thing for the second one. Alright, so over here, here's a bolt that's in the way of you getting your brake pads out, because unlike lots of cars in CTS-v, brake pads actually come out from the top of the caliper. So this is where you're gonna need a 13mm socket, and just gonna put it in the back over here and go at it. It's not torqued too high. If I had to guess, I would say it's probably torqued to like 40 pounds maybe tops. So you can even get it as a stubby wrench if you don't have a long one. I don't even have to use the leverage on this one. It's quicker. So here's what it looks like once it's out. Come back you. There you go. Alright, so now, my sweat is dripping. Ooh, I don't know if you can see that. Freaking hot. Alright, so now what we need to do, we need to push the calipers back in a little bit to get the brake pads out, because they need to be massaged a little bit. So I use a pair of those bad boys and a piece of paper. I want to scratch up the rotors. And remember, don't press too hard, just barely. You need just a little bit of pressure, just to get them kind of wiggly. That should be enough. They're moving a little bit more. Alright. Once you get them freed up, kind of wiggle them out. That's kind of what it looks like. And then repeat same process on the inner one, except I don't use the paper on the inner one because I can't really see the scratches, even if I scratch it a little bit. Plus the inner ones usually are a lot easier to get out for some reason. Don't know why. I see, I only had to press in one part. Never mind. Still gotta do this one. This is just to give you an idea how fucking hot it is. Look at my face. My fucking nose. It's crazy. So here's the new brake pad. I just upside down. I'll show you. So you can kind of repeat the process. Wiggle it back in. Oh, by the way, as far as the actual pistons, so the calipers, they're not too bad. Like, you can actually kind of move them with your fingers. That's what I did on the other side, and that's what I'm doing on this side. Once the brake pads are in, you want to put that big bolt back. The same as you get it out. If you notice, it's actually square. So you gotta make sure that you put it the way that it doesn't spin through. Like that. Hand tighten it as much as you can, and then use the wrench or socket. Remember, it wasn't tightened too bad, so do like maybe 30-40 pounds. Hand tighten it. Now it's the fun part. But I put those little pins from the back. So remember how this was? So first you want to put one of the pins through. There we go. So now what I like to use small extension and a hammer. But because I don't want you guys to see my ass on the camera, I just use the hammer. Alright, so now I gotta get this bad boy and I have to put some tension on there while driving the other pin in. So they're gonna be good times. Sorry, my garage is too small. I'm trying to wiggle it over here. Yes. Right, got it. So now, same thing. Alright, both are in. Good. Destroyed my glove. It's okay. Make sure everything's secure. Good. So now, I usually like to hit it with some brake clean. Make sure there's no fingerprints or grease or dirt on them. Then put the wheels back on. Make sure to hand tighten the lug nuts first before you hit them with power or air tool, so you don't cross thread them, which happens all the time if you take your car to like most of the tire shops. They don't give a shit. They just freaking throw it on and power tool it. We don't want that to happen because those lug nuts ain't cheap if you buy them from Cadillac, and to do the studs, it's a little bit of work, especially when it's unnecessary work, you know. Alright, so if you are using power tool, get a torque bar. Save yourself hassle. Because this torque bar, at least you're not gonna over torquing the crap out of them. So that's good. And if you have a torque wrench, double check the torque. Make sure it's around 100 pounds. Alright, so we're gonna torque our stuff to 100 pounds. Do. 90, 100. If you could see it. Just make sure when you do your torque wrench, make sure you always put it back to 0 once you're done. Done. So now we're gonna need to make some room, move some cars around. And take the caddy out and see if the brakes actually working.